Outdoor Drive Podcast.
Welcome back for another week's episode. This is episode 177 with the man, the turkey man himself, Mr. Dave Owens. We are super pumped about it. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and I am joined by my good buddy, Mr. Madman Mardick.
What up, brother?
Oh, all right. I didn't know if you had anything crazy to say, because normally you do, so I didn't. I was waiting. I seen like the smirk on your face, and I'm like, oh, we're in for it.
Gotta keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Hey, it's just gotta. I guess it's just gotta come naturally. We can't force it. I guess, right?
Never that.
Nope. Well, man, I know the season is coming to winding down and things are kind of crazy and hectic, and I went through that captain's class, and it's finally nice to be back on podcasting and kind of getting things underway. We have a ton of huge changes here at the Outdoor Drive. We've officially changed the logo. We've added a production team to the team. There's a ton of great stuff going on, so you're going to see a lot more from us on social media side, on YouTube, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. A little bit on TikTok. We kind of boycotted that place though. It's kind of a crappy place to be. TikTok sucks. It's cool to watch the videos, but it's not really fun to be part of them because they constantly, in our world and in our industry, they kind of boycott it, I guess you can say, right? I mean, it's just...
Yeah, I tried to dabble with my own personal TikTok for a little while, but every time I made a video, it went against community standards. So I come to find out that I'm just not community standard worthy in TikTok's world. So screw them.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's exactly what I think, man. It's just we're not in their world, but screw them. We don't need them. We got Elon Musk over there at Twitter. He'll take care of us. And YouTube. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with YouTube. And hey,
no, the YouTube's about to take off for us here shortly.
We're super excited about that team, and I'm very excited because it's not going to be very long now before we're all going to be in Harrisburg for our first show together, and it's kind of cool is because the Outdoor Drive was released in Harrisburg originally 3 years ago. Yeah. So now to be back there and bring the team there, and that's kind of like our starting point, kind of our local show, and hopefully someday we'll be able to have a booth there. I mean, that's kind of like my end-all be-all goal. I mean, I would love to do the 9 days in Harrisburg and podcast and hang out. I mean, that's, if I had one goal for the 2024 season, I think that's what it's going to be, is to have a booth in Harrisburg.
Yeah. I'm glad you actually cleared that up, because I had a couple people reach out to me asking if we had a booth at Harrisburg. So if anybody's confused, no, we do not have a booth, but we will be there, just mingling amongst everybody. So if you're there and you want to meet up or whatever, reach out to us and we'll be around. So
yeah, we'll be around the 9th, the 10th, 11th, and the 12th. So that's a, what is that? A Friday, Saturday, Sunday? No, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And we just get to go. We get the media room. We do some podcasts in there and stuff like that. It's a little bit much for us, honestly, to have that show and have everybody. But now having a good team behind us that we can probably get everybody to kind of join up there and kind of get things underway and have fun. And then we will have a booth at, as you guys know from the last podcast, in the Springfield show. And then we will have a booth in the Mohegan show here in Connecticut. So we are not really traveling much because there's been so much changes amongst the team and the Outdoor Drive that, our focus is trying to get that stuff underway and into you. And I know there's going to be merch is in the works. We'll have that on our website, The Outdoor Drive. We've been revamping that. If you guys didn't get over, maybe probably check that thing out. Just the simplicity of just kind of pumping forward, man, and just keeping that drive going.
I know. It's funny because sometimes it feels like we're almost slacking a little bit, but we are doing so much behind the scenes works and getting stuff situated and revamping stuff. There's a lot going on that you can't even imagine, but
no,
things are getting done. It's all coming together now.
And it's all going to come out. Go ahead.
Speaking of Springfield, that was one thing that I missed out on because of our crazy schedules. I didn't get to jump on the intro for that show, but you said how your 2024 goal is to hopefully get a booth at Harrisburg. I can't even believe that I'm going to be behind a booth at Springfield.
Right.
Just going to that show and just every year went to the Springfield Sportsman Show, and now going into it this year, I can't believe, like, I'm going to be on the other side of a table at the Springfield Sportsman Show. Like, as weird as it sounds, it's almost like a dream come true. Like, you know?
Yeah, no, it totally is, dude. And I mean, that's, for a small town show, that's the show that we all looked forward to. I mean, it was like, I mean, if you could compare it to one thing, it would be like our mini Harrisburg, right? I mean, it was a couple buildings, it was shooting, it had everything, man. So I totally get it. The big bucks are all there. That's our New England show. So we're looking forward to getting there and all that stuff. And just kind of being there. So, and the other thing I'm kind of looking forward to is turkey season. I know it's kind of crazy. We haven't even snapped into shed season. Not all the sheds are on the ground, and everybody kind of knows that. Me personally, and I know Martic has started to become more of this, but a big time shed hunter, and we're looking forward to shed hunting. But there's nothing more that I'm looking forward to than turkey hunting, because turkey hunting, we have a lot of fun together in turkey hunting. Like, there's, me and you, Madman, had a blast last year turkey hunting and running and gunning and causing trouble and whatever else that we had done. And then, now to have a new crew, we were talking about doing, I don't want to call it a public land challenge, but I guess we can call it a public land challenge where, like, we have 2 guys from Mass, we have 2 guys from Rhode Island, and we have 2 guys from Connecticut, and Steve had come up with this, and just like, let's go battle royale. We'll go into Connecticut for one Saturday. Let's see what everybody can do. You know what I'm saying? Then we'll go to, Rhode Island for one weekend, see what everyone can do. We'll go to Mass for a weekend and see what everyone can do. And, and we still have our main trip and everything. But I think just those teams and just kind of, just instill some type of competition to kind of get things, up and rolling and everything else like that. I think it would be kind of fun, dude. Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's see what everybody can do, And going along with that, not only as turkey season's coming and all the things that we have to offer for turkey season, but also all of our turkey calls. We have all of our custom turkey calls. So as I had said earlier in the podcast, that we're going to be having a new logo. Our new logo is going on all the new calls. So we've been waiting for Jordan Johnson over at Combination Creative knocked it out of the park for us as far as the logo went. We kind of gave him a vision, and he made it reality. And so we sent that over to Mark, and Mark is now working on all the pot calls and stuff are all going to have the new custom logo on it. So it's kind of cool, we had the old podcast logo, we still are the Outdoor Drive podcast per se, but we are also the Outdoor Drive is what we are. So we're looking forward to it, and I'm really looking forward to the season, to be honest. I mean, it looks like the hatches are good. I'm seeing a lot of turkeys around and driving, big flocks. Something we haven't seen in a while, honestly. I mean, I don't know what you're seeing, Madman, but...
I haven't really seen a lot of flocks, but I've been out last weekend. It was a 3-day weekend for me with Martin Luther, and I took a good walk on all 3 days. I say shed hunting. It's still too early to really be shed hunting. I mean, there's definitely bone on the ground, but from what I'm seeing, less than 50% have shed out. So I just been kind of just diving into a couple new pieces of public that I've never been to before, and I'm seeing some turkey signs, scratching, a lot of hen droppings and stuff like that. So it's looking good, but not for nothing. I mean, the weather this winter has been so mild. I mean, even now, I mean, it feels like it's turkey season now. It feels like spring out right now.
54 degrees. 54 degrees right now.
Yeah. So I don't think we're out of the woodwork yet. I think we're still going to get smashed with some snow before it's all said and done. It'll probably be the day that we drive to Harrisburg.
I was just going to say that. We're going to hit an ice storm on our ride down through. But absolutely. So, man, what do you think, man? Let's get Dave Owens on. Let's let him talk about turkey. We like turkey hunting.
You forgot.
Oh, I forget everything. What'd I forget?
You forgot something.
What'd I forget?
Oi.
It's
the
me.
Sponsors.
Manny. Oh.
Oi.
It's me. Hold on one second. Let me phone over. Let's make sure Manny's not sleeping over there across the pond.
Oi, you! Yeah, you! Put down that mug of Joe and get your lips wrapped round one of these bad boys. That's right. Nor'easter Game Calls. Give it a blow. Nor'easter Game Calls. Get 'em in close. This winter, use Huntworth's Heat Boost products for impeccably warm body parts, guaranteed. Get more for less with Huntworth. Vital Ground Outdoors, for all your climbing hardware needs. Amstel mobile hunting redefined with Vital Ground Outdoors. New Era Archery, home of the Zeus Broadheads as well as the Hera. Let the Zeus loose with New Era Archery. I would just like to thank our generous sponsors. Back over to you, Trevor.
He must have broke in from a big cup of tea over there, Mr. Manish. I love that guy. I really do, man. I wish he lived closer so that he could come and hang out at all the shows and stuff. We have a lot of fun with Manny. So, but let's break this right into Dave. Let's let the turkey man do the turkey talking because we don't know anything compared to this guy.
Oh, I look up to Dave. So when it comes to turkey hunting, he's my guy. You know, I've said it many times on podcasts before. I've only really been turkey hunting 6, maybe 7 years. And I'd like to say I'm self-taught as much as you can be in this day and age because you always have YouTube and podcasts at your disposal. Mm-hmm. But Dave was the one guy that after I started watching him on YouTube, stuff really started to click. And I went from a guy who maybe got a bird a year to getting 2 or 3 a year. Just by watching what Dave does and how Dave hunts. So
I think one of the cool, he takes you through his hunt and his methodical moves through the woods and how he does things. A lot of first perspective hunting and really shows you how he does things and why he makes the chess moves that he actually makes, like he talks about in the podcast.
Right. And I don't remember if I actually said this during the episode. I don't think I did. But like prior to following Dave, I was, get on a roosted bird in the morning. It either worked out or it didn't. And if I didn't kill him off the stick, I might as well just pack it in because my hunt was over. And after learning stuff from Dave, I learned that if I just stay with those birds, I might not kill them till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, but there's no reason to go back to the truck. Just hang tight, follow those birds around, stay within earshot, and like you said, keep making those chess moves, and eventually checkmate,
It's crazy how, we talk about it a ton, and how the turkey woods, you can play the methodical, slow and low, you know what I'm saying, where he, how he hunts, we'll call it that, slow and low. And then you have the running and gunning fast pace, and they all successfully work, right? Like you can kill birds either way, but it's like what makes best sense for you, like what do you know how to do? Are you, as long as, in my opinion, and we didn't really talk about this, but as long as you're not putting too much pressure on those birds to get them to where they won't, you know what I'm saying? Like putting steady pressure on them birds, I think that they're both very good moves, but it's just how you go about it and what you think. So I think having 2 different perspectives and learning 2 different things, I think will work out even better for you.
Right.
So
yeah, knowing what to do and when to do it, what the bird calls for at that particular time.
And that's what turkey hunting is. I mean, it's not about you. It's not about what's going on. It's about what the bird wants. It's really what the bird wants. If the bird wants to talk, let him talk. If he don't want to talk, don't let him talk. He wants to get killed, he's gonna get killed. It's what you want to make of the situation. So, well, let's let Dave talk about this because I know we aren't half. We can't hold a candlestick to Dave when it comes to turkey hunting. So let's let the man talk.
He probably kills more turkeys in a year than I'll kill in my lifetime.
It's the truth. That's the truth. Let's get Mr. Dave on the line. All right, we're back on the phone with Dave from the Pinhoti Project. I almost got it wrong earlier. I'm not going to lie to you because I'm bad with words, but how you doing, Dave?
Doing well, man. Being bad with words and running a podcast, man. The Pinhoti Project is not a common word. Pinhoti's not common, and half the people still can't pronounce it, but it's kind of cool having something that kind of started from nobody having a clue what it was or how to spell it or how to pronounce it, and now hopefully it's in the turkey hunting circles. It's getting to be a household name. So
for those that don't know, what does it actually mean?
It's a Creek Indian word. It actually means turkey home. Oh. actual meaning of Pinhoti. So yeah, it's little bit of a down home meaning because we have everybody's familiar with like the Appalachian Trail, the AT, a lot of hiking, a big hiking destination, and the Pinhoti Trail is kind of the south end of that. It links up or almost links up with the AT and runs through my hometown and through a big block of national forest. So it all just kind of came full circle and made sense when we were trying to figure out what to name this thing.
That works out really well, man. Well, let's turn the key. Let's get this thing underway. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
My name's Dave Owens. I'm a turkey hunter. I don't really advertise myself as much else. Don't really care to be much else. From Northwest Georgia, born and raised. Kind of shuffled around a little bit in that area of Northwest Georgia. Kind of got closer to Atlanta for a handful of years, and now I'm in northern Alabama. So I've crossed the state lines, which I've always lived Northwest Georgia. We were always right there on the state line. So Alabama's always been just about as much home as Georgia's been, and now we've got an Alabama home. So, but yeah, that's where I'm from, and what I do is just turkey hunt, produce turkey content, produce hunting content, I guess I should say. But obviously, it's centered around turkeys. That's kind of in us to stay, and trying to just doing what we can to promote the resource, promote the hunting culture, the traditions, and I don't know, make it cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than turkey hunting, in my opinion, honestly.
Especially the way you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think everybody's kind of grasped onto the whole hanging out and smoking a cigar after. It's something that's kind of, it's your signature thing. I know Steve brought it to my life, but
I do it every time now.
Yeah, it's cool. The main idea there was just to slow down. Everything had gotten so fast paced, and I'm as guilty as anybody. I mean, most of the stuff that I do is obviously, or people blame me for, like the cigars and stuff like that, is just a mistake that I was making on my own. You know, I was in a rush. I was hurrying. You know, this 49 state slam thing got in my mind and everybody's mind, or the Grand Slam, or whatever it is you may be chasing, and you're worried about the next one before you've really enjoyed the one, and enjoyed the one that you may have in your hands, or enjoy the present time. So it was just one of those things where slowed us down a little bit and made us think, made us chat, made us kind of revel in the moment a little longer. So I'm glad that people have kind of grasped hold to it, and maybe not everybody's running back to the truck and throwing them in the bed of the truck and trying to find the next one. So.
No, I think it's kind of important, honestly, and I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head with that, because we speed on to the next thing or whatever, and the people, like the generations before us, that was it. When you killed a deer, that was, you celebrated forever about that one deer, and then as the generation started to come on, what do? We just all right, what are we going to kill next? What are we going to kill next? And to sit back and tell the story, relax, chill, and just really give the animal what you owe to it, honestly.
Yeah, and I think with that's just a product of us being a little bit spoiled. We have game populations that the times of old didn't have. They'd have to hunt all season to find that deer that they killed, and they were going to ride that joker around on the hood of the car for 2 days to make sure everybody knew that they killed one. The turkey, and I think the game populations have got us a little bit spoiled because there is always another one to chase around the next corner. But I don't know. I just saw that as a little bit of the importance of the journey, kind of being a little bit, overshadowed by the success. And we wanted to, we spun this thing in a way to highlight the journey, not the trophy at the end, and wanted the trophy to be, wanted to be the journey in getting there. So, smoking the cigar and slowing down and, taking nice pictures and trying to highlight the whole process is something to keep the main thing, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So one of my biggest questions with you, man, and you traveling and stuff, I kind of want to dive into what you go through from state to state, because I think that even if the guys that aren't traveling that are listening to this, they could take a lot from it to try and locate a turkey to start off. And so when you get to a state, right, you ride up, say, whatever state it is, and you show up in that state, what do you do first to make yourself in the success right off the bat?
Shoot, man, when there's so much that goes into it, and it's changed over time with the mapping software and stuff that we have available now is just crazy. I mean, you can almost hunt on a whim. Like, you can be going through a state and literally turn your maps on and turn your state lands on and just go to you get close to one. And here again, we're somewhat spoiled because game populations are so rich and pretty much throughout that you can drive and you get a good block of timber, and in most areas of the country you can be pretty sure there's probably a turkey somewhere in it. Case in point is year before last, just driving through Nebraska and was just getting from point A to point B. Didn't really even have intentions on hunting Nebraska, but just driving down through there, could tell I wasn't going to get to the next state in time to hunt the next morning, and drove past some state ground. There was a hen in the ditch, and I thought, if there's a hen in the ditch, there's probably some gobbler somewhere close. So called in, got a license, went to a piece of state ground that I was right off the beaten path from. I mean, literally right around the corner, and was on turkeys. So it can be as simple as that now. But if somebody's wanting to really plan ahead, which is what I would suggest, and if you're really going to say take a 10-day or 9-day vacation and want to go hunt a couple states, nothing's changed when it comes to doing the groundwork. Here again, it's changed, but it shouldn't have changed. Like, you should still go through all the same steps that you did 10 years ago. You should get a state map. You should look on the websites of the states that are available, and look at harvest statistics. They usually have hunter success rates. I mean, that's always a great place to start. That doesn't mean go to the state, find where they kill the most turkeys and go there, because here again, we're balancing a pressure aspect versus a success aspect. This county may see, the most birds, but then you look at that county, it's got very little public land. Well, this county may not kill as many birds, but it's got a ton of public land to run around on. Well, not to mention this county kills a lot of birds, but it's also close to a big city. So it probably sees a lot more pressure. That's the reason it kills more birds, because there's more people hunting there. So you've got to take all those things into consideration when you're making that initial, like putting that initial dot on the map where you want to focus. Because when you're just saying, hey, I want to go to state X or state Y or whatever, I mean, that's a wide net. I mean, that's a wide net. So you got to start somewhere, funneling and bottlenecking all that information down and getting you a couple places to kind of focus on. And then it's just piece by piece. You're just, it's like your funnel's getting narrower and narrower. You take that broad net, you get where you want to start. You start picking out specific areas. You start calling biologists, try to get some, whether it be biologists or park rangers or game wardens or timber crews. Sometimes you can get research assistants. I mean, there's all kind of people that have feet on the ground that can get you some real world knowledge. And I love that. I would rather talk to somebody who's familiar with the area, even over a biologist. Like, some of these biologists have huge blocks of timber that they're responsible for. Then they can give you some general information. But man, if you can get that timber crew that's been out there cutting timber, that guy's out there about every day, or at least most of them, or if you can get these people that are doing research, or research assistants, or the wildlife techs, the ones that are not the biologists, but the ones that are actually out there doing the mowing, doing the planting, if you can get one of them on the phone, getting some of that. I saw this yesterday. I'd rather somebody tell me where they saw a turkey across the road last week than have this person's information on what they should suggest, but it's just being persistent, and just trying to collect those little bitty crumbs to put you close enough to hear a turkey the first day you're in there. And not to it's not the end of the world if you don't hear a turkey the first day. I mean, but it's just trying to put all the chips in your corner that you possibly can to be able to be in turkeys.
And when you're looking at maps, are you looking for different features on the map or something that kind of puts you in that direction? Like, agriculture or, ridges or whatever, like that type of topographical features that you're looking for when you're mapping?
It's all situational. I mean, it's situational, always will be. Because what you're looking for in Connecticut or New Hampshire is going to be different than what I'm looking for in Wyoming or what I'm looking for in Kansas. But at the end of the day, what you're looking for is a defining feature that's not available everywhere that they need. You know what I mean? So like a lot of the places out west, it may be roosting habitat because there just might not be any of it. So when you find good roosting habitat, riparian areas or whatever it may be, that's going to be where a lot of the turkeys may be roosting, and you can start focusing your effort there. Like Kansas, some of Oklahoma, those creek bottoms and stuff that have the big cottonwoods, and there may not be another tree for, miles. You can concentrate on those creek bottoms and know that if I get to a number of those creek bottoms early in the morning, then I could possibly hear turkeys and try to kind of find where they're roosting and find a good starting place. But if you're looking at the desert Southwest, roosting habitat is one thing, but also water. I mean, these birds kind of center around water. So you got to find, just because it says it's a creek on a map, don't believe that, because it's gotten me in trouble and it'll get you in trouble too, because that's a creek on a map, like for a week of the year. They have their wet season, which is maybe a couple days. So water may be that defining characteristic. You get over here on the east side, when the eastern turkeys, what most people are hunting, are those features that kind of bottleneck the turkeys are not quite as abundant because they kind of have a little bit of everything. They have mast a lot of times. They'll have open areas. They'll have creeks and water, and so you can't really bottleneck them down. But what I try to do is find an area that has everything that they may need, and in a tight, poor area. And also try to find as many of those type places in a small enough area to where I can hit more of them in one day, or maybe even in the morning. I really like to be able to find diversity where it may be field edges, some young timber, some older timber, road beds, creek bottoms, have everything that a turkey could potentially need. And if I can put my ears on all of that at one time, if I can find a high point, I let the turkeys tell me where they are. Because on the east side, you can do a lot of different things, but hunting with your ears is, in my opinion, definitely the most effective. You just get yourself in a position to let them make a mistake with their mouth, and you can figure out where you need to start. And then it's just putting the puzzle pieces together.
Are you trying, when you're on those high points, are you trying to strike them like with some type of, shot gobble of some sort? Or are you just letting them do their type of talking naturally before you do anything?
If it's early in the morning, yeah, I'm letting them do their thing typically. I will owl or try to get a shot gobble, but it's usually after they should have already done their thing. So it's more or less I'm just double checking before I get to moving that there's not one here that's just needing a little jump start. I like to let turkeys, for the most part, I like to let turkeys do their thing on their own time. I can't remember who it is that said turkeys have all day to get there and nowhere to go. So, I mean, you can't really rush them. You got to live on turkey time if you're really wanting to kill one. So I usually let the woods wake up. It's one of my favorite things, is to put my back against a tree or my shoulder against a tree and let the woods wake up on its own time. I really love to hunt a place and leave a place and nobody ever know I've been there. The critters never know I was there. I like to get in and out without causing much of a disruption. I think that's the epitome of a woodsman, like being able to go in and hunt a place, become one with the critters that are living there, and hunt it tomorrow knowing that you didn't mess up anything today. And I think that's one of the biggest compliments a person can get, is to know that if you went and hunted through a place, that somebody else shouldn't be afraid to go hunt it tomorrow because you didn't stink the place up.
I think that's that. Remember the guy that had what was the avian bird flu? He came in the middle of the morning. You get a lot of that where the guys come in and they hit the crow call, then they hit the owl call, then they hit they cluck the hen call, and it's like, man, just let the turkeys do what the turkeys are going to do. They're going to tell you where they are. It's especially in the morning, right? I mean, they're going to
for sure.
They're going to gobble. That's what they're
situational. I mean, everything's situational. Out west, a lot of times I'll be, we'll be covering huge amounts of ground, blowing coyote howlers, doing some cutting and running on long boxes and trying to strike turkeys that, out west, those turkeys cover such vast amounts of ground. Mm-hmm. You really got to move to kind of find them. We can cut and run on the east side as well. It's just, I prefer to get in and out without anything knowing I'm there. And even if I'm cutting and running, I'm not just bumbling through the woods unbeknownst to anything around me. It's always a slipping. It's always stealthy. Like I'm always planning my next. I'm not just going into an area because, you can get this from deer hunting. When everybody talks about access and entry, like you're never going to kill the deer if you blow him out on your way in. Well, that can be said for turkeys too. If you can't walk through the field and expect him to be gobbling the field when you get there, it's kind of that kind of mentality. So anytime I'm working a ridge, I'm always on the offhand side of the ridge. I don't walk the crest of the ridge and let everything around me see me. It's always, you always got to slip, and you've got to hunt with it. You've got to hunt like knowing that whatever you think is there is actually there. If you hunt without confidence, like, oh, he ain't really there, but I'm going to check anyway. Well, chances are you ain't going to be on your P's and Q's and you're going to bump him anyway. So sure, he may not be there. But if you hunt like there's a turkey around every corner, then you're going to be more successful. I mean, in my opinion, every time I hit a turkey call, a turkey's listening to me. So whether he gobbles or not, that's another thing. But in my opinion, every time I touch a turkey call, a turkey is listening to me and could potentially be moving to me. So I'm always moving as if I have a turkey approaching. So it gets you out of trouble a lot of times. You see things that other people are going to miss. You hear things other people are going to miss. And you kill quite a few turkeys that happen at the blink of an eye because you were paying attention to what was going on around you.
That's so true. It's funny that you say that because a lot of people don't think like that. And I never used to really hunt like that, like slipping into places and kind of doing that. Like, you're like, oh, no, a bird's not going to come silent on me. Like, he's not going to gobble. You know what I'm saying? And you're sitting there, and then what is it? There he is. His red head's popping up. And I'm wicked impatient when it comes to that sometimes. Like, I got to, like, if they're going to gobble, I'm going to make them gobble. And if they're not going to gobble, I don't want to hunt them. Like, it's tough. It's... Yeah. Because everybody wants to hear that.
You'll see in a handful of our videos, we kill turkeys because we heard them drum. I mean, we're slipping through the woods and taking our time step by step, and we hear a turkey drum. We're like, I just heard a turkey drum. And we get to the ground, and we'll call the turkey in on his drumming. He never gobbled. We just called the turkey in and killed him on his drumming. That doesn't happen unless you are paying attention. Mm-hmm. One that comes to mind, Courtney and I were hunting in Alabama the first week of the season, year before last, and we were hunting a spot that I had scouted in like January. Found a couple hens was all I found, but we were late into the morning. I think it was like 10 o'clock or so, slipping in these thicker pines. But they had some, the private ground next to it had some food plots and stuff, and it was early season. I figured the turkeys were flocked up, so I figured they may be around those food plots, and we were going to kind of troll to see if we could find a satellite, kind of kicked off from the flock, and we were slipping through there, did some calls, never heard a turkey, hadn't heard anything, thought I heard a turkey drum. And now we're in pines, so you can't hear them scratching, and that's another, sound that a lot of people overlook is turkey scratching in the leaves. Like early in the season, man, those leaves, if you ain't had rain, I mean, man, that's loud. You can hear turkey scratching in the leaves for 100, 150 yards. So if you slip in a way that keeps you hidden, then you can hear turkey scratching in the leaves. But anyways, back to the story I was telling, I thought I heard a turkey drum. So we stand next to each other like, no, I must not have heard that. I call a little bit, nothing. Hear it again. I was like, I think that was a turkey drum. It got us to all the way to the ground. We were like, I'm pretty sure that was a turkey drumming. We sat there on the ground for a little bit. It's like, I don't know. I don't hear it. About that time, we hear it a couple times in a row. We're like, that is most definitely a turkey drumming. And we worked that turkey for an hour and a half, strictly on his drumming, and ended up finally convincing the two or three hens, I can't remember, 2 or 3 hens, finally convinced them to come past us, and we killed the turkey right before lunch. Turkey never gobbled. Still, to my knowledge, the turkey hadn't gobbled all day. So we were within probably 75 yards of that turkey for over 2 hours. He never gobbled, and we killed him strictly on his drumming. That's paying attention to what's going on around you. There's another one that you can watch from my early Alabama hunts. The year before that, when my dad and I, he had gotten into a little lease over there in Alabama, and we were hunting it and heard a couple turkeys off the roost. But like oftentimes early season, you hear them a time or two off the roost, they'll hit the ground, shut up, and we hunted early season turkeys. I mean, we got into the hardwood ridge, and I heard a turkey scratching, and I was like, you could hear that rhythm of a turkey scratching, not like a squirrel jumping in the leaves. It's that is a turkey scratching. So I crawl over the ridge top and look, and it's a longbeard all by itself scratching in the leaves. So we killed that turkey due to listening, paying attention, not bumbling through the woods. Turkey hadn't, he may have gobbled that morning on a roost. I don't know, but he definitely wasn't gobbling in. He was just like hunting a fall turkey. He was intent on looking for acorns, but paying attention to what was going on around you, working through the woods slowly. That's what killed that turkey. It wasn't your stereotypical turkey hunt, but it was still heart pounding, adrenaline pumping excitement. I can promise you.
That's nuts. That's crazy, because I'd never killed a turkey like that. I personally would never kill a turkey like that, because I'm like,
he's too fast paced.
He's ready, man. Intense. I scare myself sometimes trying to chase on them, because you're just run and gun. You know what I'm saying? You get on them logging roads and you just run on it, or you get on the side hill and you just call and cut and hoping that one will fire back at you, unless they're in an area where you know that they are, and you try and cut around on them, and you sit there and call a little bit, and so the patience kind of thing is tough for me, but that's the way to kill them sometimes.
The thing that I really learned from watching a lot of Dave's videos is how methodical you are with. You think out every move before you make it, and that's what's the best thing about your YouTube channel is you're very good at explaining it. So you make a move, if it doesn't work out, you stop and think, what's my next move? And then you're still running and gunning, but everything you do has a reason and a purpose behind it. And I learned a ton from you from watching that.
Yeah, it's a war. It's moves and counter moves all day, every day. So what makes turkey hunting different? What makes turkey hunting fun to me, and while I think I enjoy it more than anything else, while I do enjoy deer hunting because I approach it the same way, it takes so long for a move in deer hunting to play out. I have to sit it for a morning or an evening, and I learn from that move why it worked or why it didn't work. Turkey hunting, I get to make those moves and watch them play out maybe a dozen times in a morning. It's so many small moves. It's so intricate. And every time my feet hit the ground in the mornings, it's I'm putting a move, I'm seeing how they react, and I'm counter moving and expecting them to counter until we hopefully bump into each other. Mm-hmm. Turkeys don't do anything for no reason. And when I'm in the woods, I don't do anything for no reason either. And I think that whole mentality behind cutting and running, it got dumbed down so much that it almost caused a lot of hunters more harm than good. There is an aspect to covering as much ground as possible, getting your calls over as much ground as possible that will find some success. But I think it boogers a lot of birds up too and pushes some birds around as well. To where I think there's a happy medium between, I ain't telling you to sit beside a tree and yelp 4 times, and not move for the whole morning. But at the same time, I think the other end of that is I don't think you need to run 10 miles a day and run a long box all day either. I think there's a happy medium to where you can methodically pick a piece of ground apart and be in and out of there, to where if there was a turkey willing and able to get to you and hear you and was in the right mood to die that day, and you'll find him. And if he wasn't in there, Or if he was in there but still just wasn't in the right mood, then he'll still be there tomorrow to potentially try him again.
And you would try a different move then the next day, then don't keep doing the same thing, or
Maybe, but at that point in time, I think you're more relying on the turkey. You're waiting on his mood to change. There's only so much we can do as hunters. Sure, you could approach him with a different call, or maybe from a different angle or whatnot. But I'm already approaching turkey, especially on public ground. I'm usually approaching them with something that I think nobody else is, or very few people are. And when you're hunting public ground, frankly, there's just only so much you can do that everybody else isn't already doing too. So there is no magic ingredient. Persistence, effort, determination will always win. So you just got to keep going back, and you got to keep not taking no for an answer. And frankly, you're just waiting on the turkey to get in the right mood to make him killable. He may have 4 hens the day that you snuck through there. Those 4 hens may have found another suitor by the next day, and he may be there alone, and the same exact call, the same exact positioning will appeal to him that day. So it's just being there. Time kills more turkeys than anything. If you can put in the time, you'll kill more turkeys. If you hunt 90 days of spring, chances are you're going to kill more turkeys than the guy that hunts 10 days of spring. It's always time.
And do you find, especially with time, like if you go in the morning on a bird and that bird is tied up with a couple of hens, will you leave and then come back in on that bird 10 o'clock when they potentially would drop the toms?
Yeah, it's definitely an effective strategy for sure. If I'm doing that, it's because I don't think there's any other birds in the area that could potentially be by themselves. Here again, we're very fortunate to have pretty rich game populations, and if I find a bird that's got a lot of hens one morning, I'll probably visit him again a few days down the road and see if I can find him with less hens, because especially early season, they'll hold on to those hens all day.
Mm-hmm.
They fly up with them, they fly down with them, they stay with them all day. Later in the season, if he's got a few hens, I think you're more apt to find him lonely by about 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that, lunch, whatever it may be. So a lot of that's dependent on the time of season or the time of the breeding season for the turkeys in that specific area. I really like, say, if I'm hunting Alabama, it's March 25th, and I find a turkey's got some hens from fly down. My favorite strategy is to go find one that don't. So that's typically what I would rather. That's my rathers.
Just keep moving on until you find that.
Yeah,
bird
I'll keep
that wants
moving.
to
I'll
play.
keep picking a piece of property apart, or drop into a completely different area and just try to find one that, because I know on March 25th, March 27th, March 28th, whatever it may be, right in there, there should be some turkeys freeing up. That first week of April, there should be some free turkeys. So if you got Big Daddy in there still holding on to the gals, I'll let him do his thing. I'll visit him closer to May or late in April, and I'll go find the lonely ones, because we all want the lonely ones.
But that's tough, because some of the state, like you might have a couple of days to get it done in a state, so you have to move on to a different bird. Like you can't hold yourself on that one bird the whole entire time. You got to try and find something different.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of us, if you take off and you've got 3 days to get it done, last thing you want to do is get into a battle that's going to take you 5 days to kill him, And a lot of times those big old birds that are surrounded by hens and jakes and stuff, at least for the way that I like to hunt turkeys, that's a really hard turkey to kill. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I'll go try to find a different one. Yeah.
And that, like I hunted Maryland in the first week, and it was real tough because every time, it's really flat, which I never really hunted flat, and you try and use the features to your advantage, right? Like you're saying, like don't crest over the hills, so on and so forth. But like, and it's tough to make those strategic moves in some of those places that are like that. But like in that first week of the season, like you would call out a bird, and he'd start gobbling, and he'd get halfway to you, and then he would shut up. These hens would come out of nowhere and just pull these birds right away. And I was like, man, what in the hell am I going to do? Like I probably worked 15 different birds in a week, and I'm like, how am I going to kill one, man? Like, this is the hardest thing I ever done. I didn't even know what to do to be successful, honestly. I was like, just keep moving along, I guess. I don't know. What would you do in that situation?
Yeah, early season, a lot of time it's a numbers game. It's just trying to bump into as many turkeys and presenting yourself to them as you can. You always try to, obviously in the early season, a lot of times you're calling to the hen. You're trying to find it's almost not the right gobbler, it's the right hen. You try to find a hen that wants to be confrontational. If you find her, you've got the game whooped. You can call her in and she's going to have her boyfriend not far behind her. So a lot of times it's a numbers game and finding the right hen. In early season, a lot of times it's kind of hunting turkey is a little slower. You're trying to outguess them. Essentially, you're outguessing the hens. Say if I'm hunting the Ridge and Valley area and it's early season, the woods are dead as a doornail. I mean, you can see 200 yards. The first thing to green up is the creek bottoms and stuff. So I know a lot of times those hens are targeting those little green shoots, and the insects are going to be available in that first little spot to green up, or field edges, or whatever it may be. So if I hear a gobbler gobbling and I know he's got hens, I'm going to try to outguess those hens. I'm going to say, okay, what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to go here. So then you kind of setting yourself up for a little bit of a patience game. And that's kind of all you can do. And like you said, strolling around the middle of the day, hoping that maybe you find a subordinate bird that's lost. Even the subordinate birds early in the season may have a hen or two, or they may still be, right there with that flock. Sometimes you can pull them away. Sometimes it all depends on how close to the flock you can get as well. Another strategy is how vocal the flock's being. I think I did a video on Jake caulking. Jakes can really give a flock of turkeys away because they're just mouthy. They always respond a lot of times to that gobbler drumming, and the gobbler will drum and they'll caw, 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 caw. And you can follow that flock around if you're careful enough, keeping vegetation and topography and just basically staying as close to that flock as you possibly can until, hey, they turn around for some reason, where they're able to get themselves in a position to where you can really close the distance. Like, you can get your eyes on the flock and watch them crest a ridge, give them 3 minutes to get over there so that you don't get caught, and you can come up the ridge behind them and potentially get in shotgun range. There's so many different ways to kill a turkey than just yelping them up. We all have our rathers, and we have some ways that we just won't kill a turkey. I just won't kill one. But I'm telling you, like, every one of the ones that I will partake in is ground pounding excitement for me. If it wasn't, I wouldn't do it.
What would be that scenario that you wouldn't take them?
Obviously, I don't use decoys. I don't fan turkeys. I don't use strutting decoys. So that's completely out for me. I don't do any of that. So that's one way I don't kill turkeys. Mm-hmm. I very rarely hunt turkeys late in the evening. Eastern turkeys, I'll say. Now, Western turkeys, mostly because I always have this fear of hunting and shooting a turkey as it goes back up to the limb. This just doesn't feel right to me. If I'm on a turkey that late in the evening, I would rather roost him and get the morning hunt. Like, that's what I really desire. So when it gets past a certain point, not to mention, like, in my experience, not to say you can't, but in my experience, I just don't find turkeys acting like turkeys. Like, I like to hunt turkeys late in the evening when it comes to Eastern turkeys. They're a little bit more lethargic. They don't respond to the call as much. They may come to you, but it's just kind of like a lethargic, kind of approach. And that's just something I'd rather not. Typically, I hang my gun up and I'd just rather go out and try to roost them by that point in time. You go out to the Midwest, I've hunted Wisconsin and Minnesota quite a bit, and you can get in these fields late in the evenings and find turkeys. Or if it's raining, the turkeys will be out in the fields and they'll hang out in those fields. And they got these ditches and little irrigation ditches and stuff to where if you wanted to kill that turkey, and I've done it in the past, I'm not knocking anybody that wants to do it or that still does it. But for me, the desire to just go out there and shoot a turkey that's just hunkered down, miserable, living out a rainstorm, I'd just rather not. I've you can see in the videos from last year and the year prior to where we went out there and found some gobblers out strutting with some hens or following some hens around in a driving rain, and ditches that led straight to them that were 8 feet deep. I mean, you could have walked up to the turkeys was upright and just popped up and shot one. I'd say I haven't done it before, but it's just not something that I do on the regular anymore. I just rather roost them. I'd rather keep my eyes on them and roost them and get that next morning, that roost hunt, which is the whole song and dance is what I'm after.
And just to enjoy the hunt for what it actually is, not to killing the turkey. I mean, not to knock it or anything, but killing a turkey, I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world, right? You want to at least enjoy it and then at least enjoy what it has to offer. I'm all with that. I totally agree with you. And I'm not a big decoy guy myself. I'd rather have them hunt me than to put it into a decoy. I think, do you not use a decoy just because it can ruin more hunts than it could help on a hunt?
No, because I don't believe that at all. You hear usually the decoy guys that say that, it hurts you as much. If they were that ineffective, they wouldn't be so many of them out there. The things are effective. They're extremely effective. And Dave Smith, Avian X, I mean, these flipping decoys are ultra realistic. I mean, they are effective. And I've used them. I've had Dave Smith decoys before. Back before Be Mobile, I built a strutting decoy. So I'm not sitting here casting stones at a glass house. I've done it all. I've shot turkeys with muzzleloading rifles. I've done it all. So I'm speaking from experience here that I've just found the way that's most enjoyable for me. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I prefer to do it. So no, I don't use decoys because I don't like the way it changes the game. I feel like when you use a decoy, you're straddling a handful of very important steps that usually happen right there at the last. It's those crucial steps that happen right there in the final moments that you really got to have the proper setup, keep your mouth shut when it needs to be shut. And all of those things are kind of hurdled over when you have a visual aid like decoys and stuff. So when I kill him, I like knowing I fooled him from beginning to end. So that's typically why I'm not using decoys. I use an analogy quite often is, you got somebody that says they want to see the world. I want to travel the world. I want to see the country. I want to go from Miami to Seattle. I want to see everything in between. Well, that's inspiring to want to do that. But it don't make a lot of sense to see the country if you jump on the interstate in Miami and run I-10 all the way up, hit I-40 all the way across, and then hit the interstate, whatever it would be, to get you all the way to Seattle. Technically, you have went all the way across the country, and you've seen a lot of it. But have you really seen all of it if you stayed on the interstate the whole day? And with the visual aids, I feel like you're getting from point A to point B as fast and as effortlessly as possible. Whereas when it comes to hunting a turkey without it, there's a lot more back roads you have to take. You got to take a lot more curves and turns, and you get to experience the process much more when you don't have those crutches. So that's for me. I'm not casting shade on anyone that wants to use decoys or fans or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that's just me.
I totally agree with you. You can get them to do some crazy stuff without those decoys, to be honest with you. Like the one-on-one it's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's amazing what a turkey will do when there's not a decoy in between you and them. To be honest, I mean, it's not. Yeah. I'm explaining it to the wrong guy, but like in all reality, like it's an amazing thing. Like just to trick a turkey like that, and it's not. It's not all like being in the timber. It's a lot more fun to not have a decoy than to have a decoy, in my opinion. And the other thing too, and one of the reasons I stopped using decoy is because I'm just so nervous of having that thing out in front of me, running around in public land, and now I have a Jake decoy 15 yards in front of me.
We just had this conversation. I think I made the statement, a handful of years ago when I took or did I say a handful of years ago? It was a handful of years ago things changed, but a long time ago when I took the hunter safety course, like turkey hunting was the number one thing that they harped on because we are walking around the woods sounding like the prey that we're out there trying to shoot. Mm-hmm. And everybody was just, you did not carry a red handkerchief. You did not take your white pack of cigarettes out of your shirt pocket. I mean, you did not carry red, white, and blue into the woods. I mean, you were shunned if you did during turkey season because it resembled a turkey's head and people were shooting at turkeys' heads. Now we are literally crawling behind the most realistic replica of turkey. And I mean, some of these states, you can even shoot rifles. We now have TSS and it will kill somebody at an extreme amount of distance. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just so crazy, but, you know, to each his own. I have reasons, you know, like I just mentioned, for not doing it because it changes the game in a way that I don't like. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of questions out there. It's a steamy conversation when you start talking about a lot of these things because of that chink in the turkey's armor that they do have, that visual stimulus that does trip a trigger that they can't turn off. It's physically, they can't turn it off. That's why that we have the species around today because of their ability to risk it all to spread their seed. I mean, that's why you see turkeys attacking their reflection in mirrors. That's why you see turkeys attacking spinning tires that they think is an intruding, strutting turkey. And that's why you have people catching turkeys when they're using these fans and stuff. I mean, they are hardwired to spread their seed and defend it at all cost. And our ability to reason has capitalized on that. And is it putting the resource at danger? We all have our opinions, I guess. But I'm not sure y'all wanted to turn that leaf on this podcast, so I'll shut up now.
No, it's all right. You can turn it. It's fine. These people need to hear some of that. My next question was what is your thoughts on the afternoon hunting? Because they had just turned it on here in Connecticut and a couple of years ago, and a lot of people have different thoughts on it, like after the 12 o'clock or after 2 o'clock, allowing you to hunt into the evening. Like, do you feel as that is affecting the turkey population in some of these areas by doing such a thing?
I think statistically it's going to be hard to prove that it affects, you know, I think some research studies have been done that shows that afternoon hunting doesn't have much effect. And I don't think the success percentage is out there to say that it's going to negatively affect turkeys to anything statistically able to be proven. Like, it's not going to be enough. Mm-hmm. But I think something that it may interfere with is the disruption. You know, that's been a big topic that a lot of research has been done on, but it's just been a big topic of discussion about the disruption. And I think limiting afternoon hunting, it may not be that big of a deal because I don't know how much, I mean, the percentage of afternoon hunting as it relates to morning hunting is minute, I'm assuming, because I just doesn't seem like as many people are out there hunting in the afternoon. So it may not be enough to even make a difference. But that being said, I don't think selfishly, I don't like afternoon hunting because it makes me stop.
Right.
It makes me stop, and it gives me a moment to edit or to get my stuff together for the next day. And I do like I just like the idea of there being a moment of the day that a turkey can be a turkey with a disruption. I used to love it when Florida would have a 1 o'clock closing. We hunted some WMAs down in Florida that were extremely high pressure. I mean, people talk about pressure and blah, 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 and the pressure is worse now. Listen, hunted turkeys for like a lot of years down in Florida. I'm trying to think, 15, 18 years I've been down there hunting their public ground. It was as pressured the first day out I ever hunted it as it is now, if not more so. I mean, the hunting pressure down there has always been extremely, extremely high. Using rifles, I mean, the whole 9 yards was legal down there. So, all that being said, that used to close at 1 o'clock. You couldn't turkey hunt on their public ground after 1 o'clock. And we would watch turkeys come out into these fields in the evenings, strutting, gobbling, doing things that you just flat out didn't see during the hunting periods. And we were non-residents. We were out-of-towners. Like, we were living there essentially out of our trucks and whatever. So everybody else was going home, or the majority of folks were going home or going back to their motel rooms. And these turkeys were getting to be turkeys. I like that. even on a place that they were literally didn't have a corner to turn without bumping into somebody in the mornings, those evening times, they did have a time for turkeys to be turkeys. I like that idea. Like I said, and selfishly, I like having a moment to take a breath, because I know if it's not against the law, then I'm going to hunt them most likely.
Yeah, I think that's us as human nature. Just like, like the state here, they allow 5 birds. So what are you going to do? They allow it, so you go and do it, right? Is it the right thing to do? Should you do it? No. But like, you just as human nature, like you just said, like, if they're going to let me do it, I'm going to do it, right? So like, you just
a lot of us are pumping the brakes even where things like that. And when I say like selfishly, I like the noon or the evening closers, because I know I'm going to go hunt. It's not that I know that I'm going to go hunt. It's just not like, if I like pumping the brakes myself for my own personal reasons to take care of things, or to, let birds be birds, like I mentioned. And I like knowing that nobody else is supposed to be doing it too.
right.
So it's completely selfish. I don't know if it has any, any kind of scientific statistical meaning, but it's purely selfish that if I wanted to pump the brakes and give time for the turkeys to be turkeys, I want to make sure, I would like for everybody else to pump the brakes and let turkeys be turkeys too.
No, I agree to you. Then they can go and they can roost, and then they can get back on them roost trees where you know that they are, so you can get back in and hunt them in the morning. Like, I totally agree. I mean, with us going from noon till dark, I would like to just see it be open till, like you said, 1 or 2 o'clock, and then get everybody out of the woods and let those turkeys get back in and doing their thing. Because obviously on the eastern birds, it's not, if somebody bumps them off and they go to another, say like in the afternoon, and they go to another like roosting tree, it might not be all that far, because there is a water source, a food source, so you're not really pushing them. But in some of these states, when you're pushing them out of those nesting areas and those areas that they're going 3 times further, and they might not, or have a tougher time getting back into those nesting areas to then reproduce again, right? I mean, that's my thoughts on it.
It's just any kind of disruption, but that's going to happen morning or afternoon. I think a lot of these people are just, a lot of the minds out there are just trying to figure out a way for we can still enjoy turkey hunting like we like to enjoy it, but at the same time, kind of reduce some of that disturbance. I think, bumbling through the woods and bumping hens off nest, or interrupting the breeding cycle, or blowing the turkeys out of the tree, or getting all of that kind of out of whack, I think is something that they're kind of tying some of the poult, the decrease in poult production. They're kind of tying some of that to the disruption in the breeding process potentially. I mean, there's so many different things that it could be that we just flat out don't know, which is why I think it's a huge positive that we've got organizations throwing money at research, trying to get some answers. You got agencies making some moves to try to, put a Band-Aid on it until we figure out the answers, or potentially not a Band-Aid. It could be the cure-all. Who knows? But we don't ever know unless we make some of those changes. So I applaud those agencies and stuff for doing that. But yeah, I mean, as far as the disruptions and as far as the evening hunting, I don't know if statistically you're ever going to prove that it causes something. But me, in my little mind, like I said, I like knowing that the turkeys have a moment of the day to do what turkeys do.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite state that you like to hunt? That's like the all-time. Like, do you like hunting that certain state because of Merriam's, or because of something like that, or you just like killing turkeys?
I just like hunting turkeys, yeah, but eastern turkeys will always be my thing. Like, eastern turkeys are what turkey hunting is. It's a nice treat to go hunt Merriam's and Rios. Osceolas are near and dear to my heart. I love them as much as anything. But if I had to hunt one of them, it's going to be the easterns, because they live where I love to be. And that's hardwoods, that's ridges, that's mountains, that's benches. That's where I love to be. There's no place in the world that I'd rather be is in the rocks with the mountain oaks at my back. So that's why easterns are king for me.
Do they gobble a lot more than some of the other turkeys and they play a lot nicer, or is it just
Who's that?
the Easterns?
Oh no, that's probably the opposite. They
Really?
play dirt. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Eastern turkeys, especially mountain turkeys that can use that terrain. Um, yeah, they play dirty, and that's what makes them fun. Yeah, all tools have to be at the helm when you're hunting them, and that's what's fun. And that's what makes Osceolas near and dear to my heart too, because those are some mean little boogers. I mean, they are tough turkeys. People think make it look easy, because we go down there and we kill one or two, or we kill a few, or we kill some with some consistency. But you know, it's not like you're talking about somebody and people that have an extreme amount of experience, a lot of trial and error, and frankly, bad video just doesn't get a lot of traffic. So while I'm always trying to show the journey, when I started the Pinhoti project, we were focusing on the journey. It wasn't about the reward, like I mentioned. It wasn't about the trophy at the end of the rainbow, or the goal at the end of the rainbow, I guess I should say. It was trying to focus on that journey. But I mean, frankly, people just don't want to watch you walk through the woods without killing nothing for 10 hours. I mean, they just don't. So you have to kind of expedite that bitter part of the process. So that's what makes these videos seem like we kill one with consistency every day or every other day or whatever it may be. It may seem like that, but it's not the case. Yeah, that's just the way. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You know.
Is it because the Florida birds just have so much like predators that are on them that they make them a little bit tougher? Like everything's trying to kill them.
Everything's trying to kill them, and the vegetation is so thick. You've got a wet butt and wet feet every time you're down there. You're wet. It from waist down at least, typically even higher than that. You know, so I mean, you're wet. The sand's everywhere it shouldn't be. It is just an uncomfortable experience. You've got to, I think they call it, you got to embrace the suck. I mean, you just got to learn. You've got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You know, this past year was a perfect example. Yeah, we got down there and we killed a few turkeys, but we were sleeping, camping. The lows were like 78 degrees. So, I mean, you were camping and sweating all night. You got to sleep you got to sleep under a bug net. I mean, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable and understand that it is a grind, makes the success that much sweeter. So, you know, I mean, when you work for it like that and you keep wet feet for a week, it's just fun, you know, and I don't know, that's just something different about turkey hunters, or at least a lot of turkey hunters, that we find a place that is difficult, that added challenges and stuff. And while at the moment we're just ready to kill a turkey and be out of there, as soon as we're out of there, we're like, man, I can't wait to go back. You know, I mean, those places that were tough, they always draw us back, you know, because I think those tough places we leave thinking that there was something else we were there that was there to learn that we didn't learn, that would make it make sense. Because a lot of times when a place is tough, it won't make sense for you. You haven't figured it out. And I think when you leave and it was difficult, you feel like there's more to learn that you missed, to where somewhere that you may kind of be able to be on turkeys a little quicker and have a little quicker success. You kind of feel like you figured it out.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, I want to ask you one last question before we cut you off. Is what drives you outdoors, Dave?
Oh man, the experience, buddy. I mean, you can't. Regardless of what it is, obviously I'm a turkey-centric person, so it's always the communication. It's always just the next sunrise and the potential of what could be. And you never know. There's no two experiences the same, and you know, every moment we live, man, we'll never get to live it again. You know what I'm saying? So like the moment that I had yesterday morning, I'll never be able to live that moment again. The moment we have tomorrow, we'll never be able to live it again. So it's just trying to swallow up as many of those moments as you can. Make yourself available. Like if springtime is your time, like it is for mine, do whatever it takes to be out there, because that's something that dawned on me many moons ago. Was like, you know, we're only going to get so many of these springs You're only going to have so many springs with good knees. You're only going to have so many springs that you can climb that mountain. One of my biggest pet peeves is like, man, one of these days when I retire, I'm going to do what you do. When I retire, I'm going to go hunting all these days. Well, man, what if you don't make it? We're not promised tomorrow. So take advantage of every moment that you have, because every moment that we live, we can't live it again. If you want to go next door and hunt, then go next door and hunt. Put $20 in a jar a week or a month. It don't take that much to hunt turkeys. It's the poor man's big game. That's what Doc Whittle called it. I mean, and it's a perfect description. I mean, typically we can get a stake tag for a couple $100. Live out of your truck. You typically have less than $500 in a trip. If you go next door. All depending on how extravagant you want to be and learning to live uncomfortable, like we just mentioned, and seize the moment, because 23, if we get there, spring 23 could be our last one. You don't know. And I lay down my head at night knowing that if that spring moment that I had yesterday, if that's the last one, I'm good with it, because I give it 100%, and I looked at as many sunrises down the barrel of a gun as I possibly could.
I think a lot of people can learn from that. Well, Dave, man, where can everybody find you if they don't already know who you are, or where to find you?
Pinhoti Project, a little bit everywhere. I mean, anywhere that you can find anything. Basically, YouTube is where our content hits. We're on Mossy Oak Go. It's another streaming platform that you can find all our videos there. Then, of course, Instagram, Facebook, you can find us there and interact with us there. We'd love to have you. And then pinhotiproject.com if you want to buy Yelpers or buy pot calls or hats, shirts, all that kind of good fancy stuff. We got a bunch of stuff on there, so come check us out, and love to have you. And any questions, shoot us a message.
Absolutely, Dave. We really appreciate it. We'll put the links in here below. And for everybody else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.